We have spent the last 100 years building a flawless mathematical mirror of reality, but I am standing before you today to say the mirror has cracked. The James Webb Space Telescope has sent back an image that simply should not exist. If what I am looking at in these new deep field observations is correct, then everything we know about the birth of the cosmos is fundamentally broken. The standard model of cosmology, the very equations I have spent my entire life championing, might be entirely rigged. If you do not grasp what this anomaly means, you are living in a ghost of a universe. You are blind to the Leviathan waking up just beyond our cosmic horizon, because something terrifying is hiding in the dawn of time. I have stared at the telemetry, running the numbers again and again, and what I have discovered is a phantom structure lurking at the very edge of the observable universe. A structure so impossibly ancient it threatens to shatter our entire model of existence. Today, I am going to show you exactly what James Webb found in the dark. And I promise you, once you see the crack in the illusion, that you will never look up at the night sky the same way again. But before we peer into that abyss, if you want to understand the true nature of the cosmos, if you want to peel back the fabric of space and time with me, make sure you subscribe. Imagine a perfectly crafted pocket watch resting in the palm of your hand, every brass gear, every delicate spring, meticulously placed to measure the steady, unstoppable march of time. For decades, this is exactly how I viewed the evolution of our universe, a majestic, predictable machine, ticking away in the cosmic dark. When I first began my journey into theoretical physics, the story of our origins felt perfectly complete. We believed the cosmos expanded from the Big Bang like a calm ocean, gentle, uniform ripples of matter slowly stretching out across the infinite void. It was an elegant narrative. Written in the beautiful language of Einstein's general relativity, we were taught that after the initial flash of creation, the universe entered a deep, silent era. We call it the cosmic dark ages, a time when the universe was nothing but a sprawling fog of hydrogen gas, no stars, no galaxies, just an endless cooling mist. It was supposed to be a slow, methodical awakening, according to our most trusted models. It should have taken hundreds of millions of years for gravity to do its work. We believed gravity was a patient sculptor, slowly drawing the primordial fog together, ticking like that pocket watch, second by second, eon by eon. It was a process that demanded vast, incomprehensible stretches of time. To build a galaxy like our Milky Way, with its hundreds of billions of stars, we thought the universe needed billions of years of careful cosmic assembly. Small clusters of stars merging into larger ones, a gentle choreography in the dark. This was the scientific consensus, the absolute bedrock of our reality. I have stood in lecture halls all across the world, getting these exact timelines on chalkboards. I remember the nights spent poring over the intricate equations of string theory, searching for the ultimate elegant truth that binds reality together. We wanted the universe to make sense, to be tidy, logical, and safe. I have marveled at the sheer predictability of it all. The mathematics were so beautiful, so incredibly precise. We convinced ourselves we had unlocked the mind of God. We believed we knew exactly how the cosmic clock was wound. We wanted the cosmic ocean to be fundamentally peaceful. But that is the extreme danger of a beautiful theory. It lulls you into a false sense of security, a deep intellectual slumber. You begin to mistake the map for the territory. You start to believe that the ocean will always remain calm simply because you have never seen a storm. For a long time, our telescopes were not powerful enough to see the deepest, oldest parts of that ocean. Hubble gave us magnificent glimpses, but it had its physical limits. It could only see so far back in time before the light became too stretched, too faint to read. So we confidently filled in the gaps with our theories, with our perfectly balanced equations. We assumed the early universe was exactly as our standard models predicted, sparse, unformed, slowly waking up from the dark. We were so confident in this illusion. We thought we had completely tamed the cosmos with our mathematics, but nature does not care about our desperate need for comfort. Nature is not bound by the limitations of human intuition, nor the chalk on our blackboards. The illusion was our own creation, a psychological safety net we built to handle the infinite. And it was a net that James Webb was about to cut right through. We built an entire house of cards on the assumption of a slow, predictable dawn, and we left absolutely no room for monsters in the dark, no room for a Leviathan that could tear our beautiful models to shreds, because what we thought was a slow, gradual dawn is actually a violent disruption of everything we held dear. The universe, it turns out, is not a perfectly wound pocket watch. It is not a calm, predictable ocean. It is something far more volatile, far more strange, and utterly terrifying. And the instrument of our awakening was finally launched into the cold vacuum of space when the James Webb Space Telescope unfolded its golden mirrors. We thought it would simply confirm our brilliant theories. We thought it would show us the gentle, slow birth of the very first fragile stars. We were not prepared for what was actually waiting for us in the deep field. And the raw telemetry from the James Webb Space Telescope first streamed back to Earth. A cold silence fell over the astrophysics community. I remember staring at the data on my screen, refusing to believe what my eyes were seeing. We had pointed Webb into what should have been a vast, empty graveyard of cold hydrogen, a period barely 300 million years after the Big Bang. According to every model we possessed, there should have been almost nothing there. At most, we expected to find faint, wispy ghosts of the very first star clusters, fragile primitive embers flickering in an endless cosmic fog. Instead, we found giant, brilliant, Leviathans fully formed, massive galaxies sitting right at the dawn of time, galaxies containing hundreds of billions of stars shining with incredible intensity. It was the cosmic equivalent of opening an ancient Egyptian tomb and finding a modern sports car parked inside. It makes absolutely no physical sense. To build a galaxy of that colossal size requires time. It requires billions of years of cosmic wrestling, gravity pulling gas together, igniting stars, merging smaller systems over eons, yet here they were fully grown Leviathans, existing when the universe was just a toddler. It was as if the cosmic clock had been radically, impossibly accelerated, or worse, as if time itself had somehow cheated. These are not mere statistical anomalies. These are universe breakers, a phantom population of ancient stars that simply had no right to exist. If these cosmic giants are real, then the timeline of our universe is fundamentally broken. Our equations had told us that matter needed time to cool, gather, and ignite. We calculated that gravity was a slow, methodical engine. But this new data suggests that gravity acted like a manic, unstoppable force in the early dark, or perhaps something else was driving the creation of these phantom galaxies, something we have completely failed to account for in our equations, a hidden variable buried within the fabric of space itself. When I look at these images, I feel a profound sense of scientific vertigo. For decades, we felt so confident in our cosmic architecture. We believed the game of cosmology was fair, predictable, and fully understood. Now, it feels as though the entire system was rigged. It is as if someone altered the laws of physics when we were not looking, or as if our understanding of the Big Bang itself is built on a fundamental misunderstanding. How could the cosmos create a full-grown titan in a fraction of the time allowed by theory? Is dark matter acting in ways we never anticipated? Did dark energy behave differently in the ancient past? Or is there a ghost in the machine of general relativity itself? Every single explanation we come up with leads to a terrifying conclusion. If you change the math to allow these early Leviathans to exist, you shatter the very model that explains everything else in our modern sky. You cannot simply tweak a single dial in cosmology without destroying the entire tapestry. If we fix the early universe, we break the modern universe. If we keep the modern universe, the early universe becomes an impossible lie. This is not a minor discrepancy in the decimal points. This is a full-scale crisis at the heart of physics. We are looking at light that traveled 13.5 billion years across the void, only to tell us that our standard model of reality is a complete illusion. Phantom light from these ancient galaxies is whispering a dark truth to us. It is telling us that the universe did not play by our rules. It skipped steps. It created massive structures out of nowhere, making the fundamental speed limits of cosmic evolution. I have spent decades teaching students that the universe evolves with majestic patience. I have derived the equations that govern that slow, beautiful growth on 1,000 blackboards. And now I have to face the real possibility that those equations are incomplete. We thought we were looking at a quiet, predictable dawn. Instead, we are standing in the shadow of cosmic giants that should not be there. The watch we were so proud of has not just stopped, it has exploded in our hands. And as we stare deeper into this darkness, the mystery only grows darker, because these impossible galaxies are just the first tier in the fabric of what we thought was real. When we discover a fundamental flaw in the deep cosmos, it is never just an academic problem. It is not just a mathematical error isolated in some distant ancient void. It is a direct assault on the very nature of your own reality, because you are not merely a spectator sitting safely outside the universe looking in. You are a temporary arrangement of the exact same cosmic material. You are bound by the exact same rules of space-time geometry that James Webb has just thrown into absolute chaos. If the early universe can somehow cheat time, if it can summon giants out of the dark, then the scaffolding of existence is far stranger than our macroscopic intuition allows. We navigate our daily lives utterly convinced of our own solidity. Look at your hands, feel the chair beneath you, feel the weight of your own body. Your brain constructs a compelling, relentless illusion that you are made of solid, unyielding matter. That feeling of solidity is one of the greatest lies the universe ever told you. When you peel back the layers, when you dive into the microscopic realm, the solid world evaporates into a ghostly mist of probabilities and vibrating quantum fields. You are, quite literally, fundamentally composed of empty space. If we took the nucleus of a single atom in your body and scaled it up to the size of a marble, the electrons would be orbiting miles away, lost in an immense silent void. You are nothing more than a walking ghost of interacting forces. We used to take deep comfort in the idea that these quantum ghosts were firmly anchored by gravity. We believed that on a large scale, the universe behaved rationally. Space-time was a smooth, predictable canvas upon which the story of our lives was painted. But the impossible galaxies discovered by James Webb suggest our cosmic canvas is violently warped. They suggest that the bridge between the quantum world and classical gravity is hiding a profound, terrifying secret that we have entirely missed. For decades, theoretical physicists have tried desperately to unite these two realms. We have searched for a working theory of quantum gravity, a way to explain how the ghostly microscopic world builds the massive cosmos. That we thought we were getting closer to deconstructing the final scientific myths. We truly thought we were rebuilding reality through advanced cosmic paradigms, block by mathematical block. Nature has just shown us that our foundational blueprints are fundamentally flawed. If ancient galaxies can materialize faster than the known laws of physics permit, it means our everyday understanding of time itself is a primitive biological illusion. You experience time as a relentless arrow, flying strictly from the past into the future. But what if time is not a straight line at all? If the very fabric of space-time is capable of folding, skipping, or tearing in ways we never imagined? If the universe can accelerate the birth of a galaxy by billions of years? What does that mean for the biology, the chemistry, and the consciousness born from that exact same physics? This discovery forces us into a deep existential and philosophical inquiry into the nature of reality. It violently strips away the comforting, predictable myths of classical physics. It demands that we accept a universe that is far more alien than we ever dared to imagine. You are navigating a reality where the rules are written in a language we have only just begun to decipher, a language where cause and effect might be flexible and where empty space is boiling with hidden energy. The anomalies lurking in the deep field are not just glitches in a telescope. They are a mirror reflecting our own profound ignorance back at us. And staring into that mirror requires a terrifying shift in perspective. You must finally let go of the arrogant idea that the universe exists to make sense to a human mind. We are fleeting, conscious arrangements of stardust trying to decode the very machine that created us. And right now, the machine is behaving in a way that defies all human logic. The implications of this extend far beyond the birth of ancient, distant stars. They reach right into the very core of what it means to exist. If the cosmological constant is wrong, if dark energy was shifting in the ancient night, the ultimate fate of everything you know and love is suddenly entirely unknown. We believe that the universe was a closed system of predictable, unbreakable rules. But these new revelations force us to ask if we are merely skimming the surface of a much deeper, incomprehensible ocean. The deeper we look, the more our macroscopic certainty crumbles into dust. When you realize the universe might be fundamentally rigged, you must ask yourself what unseen force is pulling the strings. If these Leviathan galaxies are the symptom, then what is the underlying disease? We have spent decades trying to measure the very pulse of the cosmos, the speed at which it is expanding. We call it the Hubble constant. For my entire career, we believed it was a relatively simple, elegant number, a steady heartbeat driving the expansion of space and time outward into the dark. But James Webb has taken the pulse of the universe, and it is racing out of control. We are currently facing what theoretical physicists call the Hubble tension. And it is not just a polite disagreement among scientists. It is a brutal, irreconcilable fracture in the laws of physics. When we measure the echo of the Big Bang, the cosmic microwave background, it gives us one speed for expansion, but when James Webb looks at the modern universe, when it measures the light from dying stars, it gives us an entirely different, terrifyingly faster speed. For years, we prayed this was just a measurement error. We hoped our instruments were simply slightly out of focus. Webb is the most precise eye humanity has ever opened. I have looked at the data from the latest observations, and the error margins have vanished. The universe is expanding at two different rates simultaneously. And that is a physical, mathematical impossibility. It is like measuring the speed of a train from the front carriage and the back carriage, and discovering that the front of the train is somehow traveling faster than the back. The only way that works is if the train itself is tearing apart, and that is exactly what I fear is happening to the fabric of space-time. To explain this impossible acceleration, we have relied on a ghost, a phantom force we call dark energy. We mathematically forced it into our equations to explain why the universe is flying apart. But what if dark energy is not a constant, quiet force? What if it is something much more volatile, something that woke up early in the cosmic dawn? This brings us back to those impossible Leviathan galaxies sitting at the edge of time. If dark energy was acting erratically, if the very geometry of space was boiling, it might have forced matter together at terrifying speeds, forging those giant galaxies. We are staring at a cosmos that is behaving like a machine with a broken governor. And this is where the sheer terror of the unknown sets in. Because if dark energy can change its behavior, if it can accelerate or warp space-time at will, then the ultimate fate of our universe is no longer a slow, peaceful fade into black. It means the ground beneath our feet, very space that holds your atoms together, is inherently unstable. I have spent my life seeking the elegant string theories that unite everything into a beautiful symphony. But these observations are not a symphony. They are a violent, chaotic cosmic scream. We are watching supermassive black holes sitting in the center of these early galaxies, monsters that are billions of times the mass of our sun. According to the rules of gravity, they should have taken billions of years to gorge themselves to that size. Yet, James Webb sees them sitting right there, mere moments after creation. How do you build a monster in the dark without any time? You don't. Not with the physics we currently possess. You need a mechanism of direct collapse, a violent, sudden crushing of matter that bypasses all our established rules. You need a universe that is capable of profound violence on a scale we cannot comprehend. This is the cosmological crisis of our generation. The golden mirror of James Webb has not just shown us the past. It has shown us that the past is a stranger, a hostile, alien environment that defies human logic. And if we are fundamentally wrong about the dawn of time, we must face the chilling reality that we are equally wrong about tomorrow. The universe is not the calm, ticking clock I was taught to believe in. It is a wild, unpredictable entity, hiding secrets that we are only just beginning to unearth. And as we prepare to look even deeper, we have to ask ourselves a very dangerous question. If we are fundamentally wrong about the past, what does that mean for our place in this vast, unfolding cosmic story? We like to imagine that our minds are built to perceive true reality. We wake up each morning, walk on solid ground, and assume that what we see with our eyes is the ultimate truth of the cosmos. But human evolution never cared about cosmic truth. It cared about survival on a tiny, rocky outpost orbiting an unassuming star. Our brains evolved to track predators, to find shelter, to perceive time at a human macroscopic scale. We are biological machines designed to navigate a fleeting, tiny slice of reality. When we build tools like the James Webb Space Telescope, we are attempting to transcend our biological limits. We are trying to see through eyes that can peer back 13 billion years into the dark. And what those eyes are showing us is that our macroscopic intuition is an absolute trap. If the cosmos can produce giant, impossible structures in a fraction of the time permitted by our physics, then the fundamental nature of what we call existence is far more fluid, far more fragile than we dare to admit. You are walking through a universe that is constantly defying the very logic you use to make sense of your life. Think about what it really means for space-time to be unstable. The reality you inhabit is built upon the assumption of permanence. You assume that the laws of physics that governed yesterday will remain identical tomorrow. You assume that the void between the stars is passive, calm, and empty, but modern theoretical physics is whispering a far more unsettling message. The vacuum itself is not empty. It is an ocean of phantom energy, boiling with microscopic fluctuations, bursting with potential, and if those fluctuations were driven to create massive ancient leviathans in the early cosmos, then the laws of physics are not eternal carved stone. It might be dynamic, changing evolutionary parameters. What if what we call the laws of nature are simply local, temporary habits of a far larger, multidimensional landscape? I've spent decades examining the mathematical elegance of string theory, the idea that the fundamental ingredients of nature are not point-like particles, but tiny vibrating threads of energy. In string theory, space itself can fold, tear, and undergo radical geometric transformations. Dimensions can expand or collapse, altering the very properties of the forces operating within them. But perhaps the anomalies James Webb is seeing are the direct signature of extra dimensions flexing in the early dark. Perhaps we are seeing the raw seams of reality before it settled into the quiet pattern we know today. If that is true, then the universe is not a static stage upon which we perform our brief lives. It is a living, breathing, evolving entity whose deepest secrets remain entirely beyond our current grasp. This brings us face to face with a humbling existential revelation. We are microscopic observers composed of stardust, standing on a tiny speck of dust, attempting to map an infinite, incomprehensible ocean. When our theories fail, it is not a defeat. It is a profound, thrilling reminder of our actual scale. It means there are vast chapters of the cosmic narrative that we have not even begun to read. It means that reality is far richer, far more mysterious, and far more terrifying than our fragile egos want to believe. You are not standing on solid ground in a finished cosmos. But you are suspended over a profound abyss of the unknown. Every breath you take, every thought you form is happening inside a universe whose foundational rules we are actively rewriting. And as we prepare to face the ultimate question, we must ask what happens when the final curtain falls on our old understanding of reality. In the halls of academia, there is currently a desperate scramble to save our cherished models. Many of my colleagues are frantically looking for a mathematical escape hatch. They are trying to explain away these impossible leviathans as a kind of cosmic mirage, Recently, scientists have pointed to a new class of objects in the Webb data, which they call little red dots. They argue that these are not impossibly massive galaxies stuffed with primordial stars, but rather incredibly active supermassive black holes masquerading in the dark. Theory suggests that as these ancient black holes gorged on raw gas, they emitted blinding amounts of light. This intense feeding frenzy created a brilliant optical illusion across the void, tricking our most advanced telescopes into overestimating the sheer mass of the galaxies hosting them. It is a clever, desperate attempt to force the universe back into a safe, predictable box. If we can just subtract the blinding light of these black holes, the galaxies fall back into our standard mass limits. But even if this mathematical sleight of hand is correct, the crisis does not simply vanish, because it forces us to confront an equally terrifying, completely unanswered question. How exactly do you build a supermassive black hole at the very dawn of time? Under the standard accepted laws of astrophysics, black holes form when a massive star exhausts its fuel and collapses. They are supposed to start small, no larger than 100 times the mass of our sun, and they require billions of years of slow, methodical feeding and merging to reach a supermassive scale. But James Webb is showing us these absolute monsters sitting near the beginning of time, already fully grown. To explain them, we have to invent entirely new radical physics. We have to imagine a process of direct collapse, a scenario where gargantuan clouds of primordial gas crush themselves into black holes all at once, bypassing the star formation phase entirely. In a violent implosion of matter, this requires conditions so specific, so violently perfect, that it defies all our most advanced computer simulations. The early universe was clearly not a calm, slow-moving nursery, slowly waking up from the dark ages. It was a hyperactive, incredibly dense crucible that was completely untethered from the rules we observe today. Whether we are looking at impossibly massive galaxies or impossibly large black holes, the conclusion remains inescapable. Our fundamental map of cosmic evolution is profoundly broken. But the universe was acting with an efficiency and a ferocity that our modern equations simply cannot accommodate. For centuries, we believed that science would eventually provide us with a complete, perfect picture of reality. We believed that if we just built a big enough telescope or wrote a beautifully complex equation, we could finally conquer the unknown and box the universe into neat mathematical laws. But the deeper we look into the abyss, the more the abyss shatters our fragile frameworks. The James Webb Space Telescope was supposed to be the ultimate instrument of cosmic clarity. Instead, it has become a mirror reflecting the agonizing limits of human understanding. We are forced to admit that our standard model of cosmology might just be a local temporary illusion, a comforting bedtime story we tell ourselves to avoid facing the terrifying, chaotic nature of true existence. If the fundamental laws of gravity, thermodynamics, and space-time can behave so radically differently in the past, then we have absolutely no guarantee that they will remain stable and predictable in the future. The solid ground of scientific certainty is dissolving beneath our feet. We are floating in an incomprehensible ocean, and we have just realized we cannot touch the bottom. Consider what this means for the grand pursuit of a unified theory of everything. I have spent my entire life searching for the mathematical symphony that unites the cosmos, but what if the universe is not playing a symphony at all? If it is a chaotic, improvisational storm of extra dimensions and hidden forces? If space can warp so violently as to birth leviathans and monstrous black holes in the ancient dark, then the very fabric of our reality is inherently terrifyingly flexible. You and I are temporary patterns of matter born into a brief, quiet window of cosmic history. We look out into the night sky and arrogantly assume this quietness is eternal. But the ghosts of these ancient anomalies are screaming a very different truth across the void. They are warning us that the universe is not bound by our desperate desire for order. It is wild, untamed, and perfectly capable of rewriting the rules of existence without any warning. And as we stare into the glowing red dots of the deep field, we must finally accept our true fragile place in the dark. So where does this leave us the fragile conscious observers of a broken universe. If our past is a mystery and the fundamental laws of nature are shifting beneath our feet, what does that mean for the ultimate fate of humanity? We are a species desperately trying to build permanent legacies in a cosmos that clearly despises permanence. Will our future be dictated by a sudden, violent shift in dark energy? Or will the fabric of space-time eventually tear, plunging us into a realm of physics we cannot even comprehend? The James Webb Space Telescope has not given us the comforting answers we so desperately sought. It has given us a profound, beautiful terror. It has reminded us that the universe is vast, hostile, and utterly indifferent to our equations. We are standing on the shores of a cosmic ocean that is far deeper and darker than we ever feared. Perhaps that is exactly what we needed, a violent awakening from our long intellectual slumber. We must step out of the illusion of certainty and embrace the magnificent terror of the unknown. Because the true nature of reality is still waiting to be discovered, hiding just beyond the edge of the light. The next decade of observations will either rebuild our physics from the ground up or completely destroy it. If you are brave enough to continue exploring this terrifying, awe-inspiring cosmos with me, if you want to support our journey into the deepest, darkest mysteries of theoretical physics, please consider leaving a super thanks. And make sure you are subscribed to the channel. The universe is far stranger, far more violent, and far more beautiful than we ever imagined. And our journey into the dark has only just begun.